Hi and welcome our second webcast ever. My name is Helen Karim and I will be hosting this event today. Today we are going to talk about the future of excavators, but first of all, let's see who do we have here. Gentlemen, please introduce yourself. You can start.
Hello there, my name is Janne Hietamäki and I'm an area sales manager for the North American market here at DYNASET.
Yeah, my name is Jarno Saloniemi and I'm representing Real Machinery, which is a do's and delay in Finland. And I'm trying to give my best about excavators on this meeting.
Hi, this is Zili Shi. I'm from DYNASET. I'm in charge of Chinese region sales.
And if you have any questions, you can leave it at the comment box. We go through of those later on. But what is it like to be working with an excavator nowadays?
Yeah, it's pretty fun, if I may. There's a lot of going on with excavators. The need to have those is pretty obvious since all the building industry and stuff like that is glooming. And the market is running pretty nicely, so it's all about doing at the moment.
Yeah. What about the DYNASET point of view?
It's an interesting market because, well, like I said, there's a lot of that machinery and we have great attachments for those, so it's an interesting playing field.
Okay, sounds good. And what makes excavators so important machines today?
Well, that's the core, basically, of construction working nowadays. You know, even more, but...
Yeah, I think one of the big reasons are the excavators are pretty versatile nowadays. So there is a lot of, for example, DYNASET products. There's a lot to add to the excavator itself, and it makes it, as I said, more versatile to every part of building industry. So if you have enough equipment on excavator or loader or whatever, you don't basically need to have any other things to worksite. So you have everything in that excavator, and it makes it pretty useful.
Yeah, so it's like a complete packet.
It is, yeah. And it helps, like we are helping each other here on that. We are equipping excavators, and on that way we are able to give more to our customers, which can have it all on one package.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And also, as our guest said, excavators are multifunction. Like now China has this One Road, One Belt project, and also US just published their new project. It's basically like huge infrastructure building project globally. Like for infrastructure, like excavator is definitely one of the most important machinery because it's so versatile. Like loaders, it's basically for moving objects, but excavator can do so much with help with from different attachments. Yeah.
True.
Yeah,
it's like a must for any project.
It is, it is. And it's easy to think that excavator is only like digging ground, but it's so much more when you have the right equipment on that.
Yeah. And let's go through of those basic things first. Where are excavators used for?
The construction side is, or infra building is probably the main area. Road buildings, railway, like construction business overall. So excavators are doing the grounding on buildings and taking the material from somewhere to somewhere and like that. So it's kind of as you said, that it's the core of building.
Has there been any changes through the decades, for example?
Yeah, obviously the environment for the operator itself is pretty different than When I started the business in early 90s, it was cold and dark and loud. Nowadays it's like air conditioning. You choose the Bluetooth channel and things like that. So that's one of the things.
What about the new trends in this matter?
I think the environment things are influencing this also, that the engine regulations here in Finland at least are pretty tight. So lower emissions. Every year there's new regulations which have to be achieved by the engine itself, and I think that's the biggest improvement sector on excavators.
I would add something actually at this point. I think in China they are really looking forward to this kind of new technology. Also probably here, not just the engine emission, like users start to care more about noisy level, for example. They want to be working more quiet environment. So that requires not just engine. A lot of parts from the machine has to be redesigned, cabin and stuff. Also in China, for example, new trend is they're making smart excavator. So you can monitor it even remotely. So boss can check, okay, the machine is in what kind of condition, which part need to be replaced, and the service, it's all like automatically you can access with smartphone. That's also like a trend, I think. Yeah.
For sure. What kind of regional differences there are if we are talking about whole world? I'm pretty sure it's totally different to talk about excavator in United States than in India or Japan or China.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
If you take it roughly, it's like in European market, the smaller excavators are taking the big role. The bigger, there's less of bigger excavators. Instead of other countries, for example, Middle East, African area, there is a lot of big excavators compared to small ones.
Why is it?
I think it's there's a different approach. So here we have should I explain it? There's that versatility is the thing, I think. So there is in here we have a lot of different kind of jobs to do with the excavator, and that makes the size. What size of excavator you choose count. And in those areas, somewhere else, they are using the big excavators to do all of the work.
Yeah.
I think.
True.
North Americans, they tend to be quite traditional with their excavators, like tilt rotators are actually just getting into the market, which have been around in Europe and I suppose in Asian markets for a long time already. So it's more traditional, and quite often on a work site you actually see an excavator paired with like a skid steer. Okay. They have kind of a different approach to it, but it's getting there to be more versatile as a single unit than just to be the only machine to just dig.
I think in China, actually a little bit similar to Europe. For example, the statistics showed last 3 years, 60% of the newly sold excavators are under 18.5 ton. So it's also like middle to small, not even middle size. I think that has something to do with the cities, because most of the excavators in China are working in city, quite many of them. So smaller size somehow is more, let's say, practical. Of course, a bigger project, you would need the bigger size. Yeah. But I think one big difference is in China at least, or let's say even in Taiwan, in this region, in Korea, for example, the users has quite different characteristics compared to here in Finland, especially. Because Finland usually, quite often, I think the operator of the excavator could be the owner of the excavator. But in China, it's very rare that happens. It could be a contractor who has 10 of the drivers for him. That's it. Yeah. So that's also one big difference of the user profile, let's say.
Yeah. I know that in Nordic countries, excavators are really well equipped. Why is that?
Yeah, I don't. Is it all about the distances? You need to have everything with you.
Expensive labor
yeah,
also.
exactly.
Expensive
Yeah.
labor
Transport costs,
Yeah.
stuff like that. That
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
makes sense.
I think the trend is to being able to do everything with the excavator you have. That's one of the trigger things, I think. So if you have all the attachment and things like that, you don't need to have 2 excavators to do the job,
True.
and that causes the bigger volume of attachments on excavators.
What about the other side? Where is excavators not so well equipped?
I can't answer that since
Yeah.
excavators are pretty useful everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's like a common trend to.
It is, I think.
Yeah.
In certain business area, the excavator might be, let's say, only use one attachment. For example, some of our customers, they are using the magnet generator. The only purpose of that excavator is for magneting, so that's why they only need
Okay.
one attachment. They are not even traveling much distance. So only in that case, you probably doesn't need a second attachment. But I think in Finland, at least, what I see is usually at one side, you see one excavator. There is 3, 4 different bucket and attachment next to it because it has to do different job during the day. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, and everybody like to be able to do that.
Yeah. Of course.
So, I think when you have some kind of process, the processing, for example, rock, you need to have a loader machine, like a feeder machine. You need to have a breaker machine, for example, this magnetic thing.
Yeah.
When you are processing thing, that's a little bit different playground. So you need to have an excavator to every job, since you are doing the same thing over and over again. But like in this construction building, it's good to have all those 5 buckets with you, so you're able to do whatever is required.
Yeah.
Yeah, every site is different from the other one you just left, basically. So you need to have the versatility to actually be doing the job in different environments and circumstances.
Yeah, for sure. You already mentioned about the requirements. What are those requirements at the nowadays
For attachments.
for excavators, for example?
It's the noise levels, as you said.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The emission is like we in Finland at least we have the regulations which need to be followed.
Yeah.
The stage 5 at the moment is the engine level. In Finland, the contractors are giving the regulations. For example, they are taking somebody's excavator to the job ground. They are telling the contractor to what he need to have with him.
Okay.
So that they are knowing what he's able to do at the construction site. That's, I think.
So all the requirements doesn't come from the government, it comes also from the construction site.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting to know. Is there any regional differences in those regulations?
Not in Finland, not so much,
Yeah.
I think.
What about in the other countries? Do you know?
I think the northern countries are pretty same,
Yeah.
like a Scandinavian area. In Germany, they have some differences. Italy, some differences, but I can't tell much about those, I think.
Okay.
One kind of a breaking point in the North American market is the actual need to have like a specific license to actually drive your truck with an excavator in the trailer, because I don't remember the exact limits for the weight of the excavator, but with a basic license, a smaller contractor can drive it with his own basic driver's license. And that's one of the key points in North America, that they have small excavators for one-man businesses, just because of that regulation, they don't have to have a professional driver's license to be actually dragging the excavator around.
That is true.
Yeah.
In China, we actually have a few very famous vocational schools. They are meant to train excavator drivers.
Oh.
And they come out very good and very skillful. But unfortunately, still a lot of operators in China, like I mentioned earlier, they're not the owner of the machine. So when they use the excavator, they're quite careless, let's say this way. I have seen quite a lot of examples. For example, using magnet, one example. You are supposed to just operating less, lift, move, drop, that's it. But they use a magnet to punch, to push. That was actually not a good habit. It's damaging the machine attachment. Yeah, but this is, let's say, we do have requirements for the operators, but do they follow the rules? That's another story.
Yeah.
So that's why, sorry.
Yeah.
I think in China, they really care about the brand of the excavator. And nowadays, it's about fuel economy and reputation, how reliable it is. This is something really let's say, I have met someone, they said, I will only buy this brand because I had a good experience with the excavator. And he's only going to follow that brand, no matter what. Yeah, so there is sort of brand loyalty behind it as well.
Yeah, I just remembered that there was in Doosan, there is a narrower model of 255 series excavator, because for example in Italy there's so narrow roads you can't move 3 meter wide.
Of course.
So they basically narrow it by factory to fit on those certain areas. So that kind of regulations are. And the weight limits are another thing why you need to have smaller. In old towns, for example, the bridges are not taking the weight of 40 ton or 30 ton. They are just under 20 or so.
What about if you are choosing an excavator? What you should consider?
I think the purpose is the key, obviously. But right coupler. And if you are doing the earth moving, for example, right buckets, obviously. And the environment where you're going to deal with it, if you need electricity, for example, its generator is pretty obvious, and they are doing the cabling at the end of the boom, for example, to use electrified pump, for example, or some hand tools, what needs to be used in worksite. So the versatility of those are pretty big also. It's kind of hard to say what exactly you need. Usually the contractors know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You already mentioned about the coupler. What kind of coupler you should choose and why?
At least in northern countries, the S coupler is taking the market. We used to have this NTP type of coupler system, but the S system is
Is there some kind of reason why is it so popular?
It's more versatile again.
Yeah. Okay.
You can use when you have used a certain type of coupler. Obviously, you have already some tools or things, so you may use those in the same coupler again.
Yeah. Do you have any comment for this?
I think that's the way the North American is going, because, well, like I said, they are coming up with the tilt rotators, and they quite often have those. So again, to be able to use what you already have, that kind of drives the need to, or the couplers to being standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's as you said, the tilt rotators, for example, are taking the ground around the globe at the moment. Somehow it started from Sweden. I think all the biggest suppliers are from Sweden, and start to spread from there. Germans are liking it, and it's spreading there also. And the S coupler is coming with that too. S coupler is way more safer than the other systems also, and it's pretty simple. So it's simple to use and so on.
Yeah. and at least I know that there is a lot of different kind of tools for excavators. How and why do these benefit contractor?
Yeah, the variety of those is pretty awesome. I don't know how many different kind of tools we have on a yard, like 150 maybe.
Oh my God.
Different kind of
Yeah.
buckets and grapplers and hammers and pulverizers and things like that. So we are coming again to the purpose thing. So what you are planning to do with your brand new excavator is the key to what you need to have. Recycling side, they have a pulverizers, big grapples, and things like that. If you are going to construction site, you need the buckets obviously. Maybe some grapple it makes all the pipe handling and the everyday things easier. When you have a small hand with you all the time, you can grab things and move them faster than you do it by hand. And again, you don't need to have another equipment to move those things. You can do the same thing with your excavator.
Yeah.
So that's the key.
And in the DYNASET side, there is magnets and a lot of things.
Yep.
We
provide basically electricity, compressed air, high pressure water, vibration, pressure boosting, quite a lot of different types of energy forms for those excavators, because naturally a job site, it always requires different forms of energy, and that all can be taken out of one single excavator.
It's always cheap to have attachment than another machine, you know. Because when you have a second machine, you always need a second operator. So that's also the idea. And as we mentioned, in Europe, in China, mid and small size excavators are more popular. And we have certain products was meant for small machine to bigger job at certain level, like HPIC, pressure intensifier, or HVB. You know, certain stuff can help the small one to reach something even further. Yeah, so I would say for contractor, they have to think about their budget as well when they choose it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of easy math to count the benefit of having a generator, for example. Otherwise, you need a individual generator or a lot of cable from somewhere to make it work.
Yeah.
And transport of that machine as well.
Exactly. Somebody's operating it, somebody's taking the gas to it, and things like that.
And the maintenance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy. Me as a sales guy, it's pretty easy to market to customer that maybe you should have the electricity with you all the time. So basically, you are using it when you need, and it's always available.
Yeah.
That's the key.
And it benefits, of course, the contractor.
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah. What is the role of installation valves?
You go first.
Well, you're actually the expert on that, because, well, you do the installations. We provide the valves, but naturally, because it's basically the valves that we have in our selection, they are always paired with whatever kind of a attachment you might want to have on your excavator. So it's an easy mix and match. But on the installation side, I suppose that's kind of an easy way to be putting on an existing excavator, but you're the expert on that.
Yeah, it's in new excavators. There's always some lines and valves already existing, so it's pretty obvious. And as we are doing the same brand all the time, it's kind of we have a system already for that installation. And we installed this HPV system to some grass plant a few years back to taking the dust out. And there was a already existing system, so when you start the whole process, it will start the HPV also, and it starts to work like automatically, which makes it pretty easy to use.
Yeah.
Uneasy not use. So it's good system.
Yeah, from DYNASET side also, you know, we are dealing basically with all kind of brands. and they all have sort of their own design in the hydraulic systems. So we actually have to have installation valve to make sure we have a solution for each one. So that's sort of like we must have it. It's also showing our capability of this knowing how. And I had some interesting cases. My customer, they have been coming to buy a quite big amount of installation valve, but it was not meant for installing any DYNASET products. But they had experience and they know what they can achieve with it. So it was serving other purpose than installing DYNASET products. It has happened in many cases. Yeah.
Tell me more about the DYNASET products. What you can have in the excavator?
Well, starting with the electricity, because that's usually a basic demand on a job site. So you can have an AC generator to run your tools, lights, whatever needs, or you can have the DC for magnet power, because every now and then you have situations where you might want to actually be clearing. If you have a demolition site, you want to be clearing all the magnetic material off. Then a working magnet, that's a perfect choice for that job and for a single excavator that you would be using all the time anyways. Dust suppression on a site like that, naturally, especially in cities nowadays where the dust control can be a little tricky and it's actually regulated. So that's always an option to have on board.
Yeah. Like Janne said, like especially I would have mentioned the dust suppression again. Like in China, they really care about the environment issue nowadays. I have not seen any other solution like similar to our dust suppression. It's usually another different water truck and someone with hose or a cannon fan blowing the air using a lot of energy and a lot of water. But I think our solution, at least, it's pretty unique and very easy to operate. And energy saving as well. Also, I mentioned earlier, we have HPIC, pressure intensifier, also HVB, vibrating pump. All these are like increase the productivity of the smaller machine. Help penetrating, for example, frozen ground with a bucket and vibrating. So these kind of small products as well.
And the hydraulic compressors for the actual operator for the daily maintenance, blowing off the like the filters and whatever daily maintenance jobs they have, and also cleaning the machine.
Yeah, we have installed a lot of those compressors, air compressors to wheel loaders, since they are doing the daily maintenance, and just because of that they are liking to have it, so it's always available again.
Yep.
It's sitting there next to the stairs, and you can use it wherever you want. About those dusting, we used in that crushing plant I told you about. We built the whole system there, and before that we are using like 15 to 20 cubic meters of water every single day, just running the water on the rock, hoping it will take the dust out, but it didn't. Basically, after we installed the DYNASET system there, it basically cleared the whole thing once and for all, and using like 2 cubic meters per day or something like that. The difference was like a
Huge.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the usage was pretty easy also. You didn't need to take any hoses or anything anymore. Basically, you just push the button and it starts to happen. And that suits to everybody, I think.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Now I think we should take our crystal balls to the table and let's see what the future looks like. What do you think, what kind of things is coming into the field of excavators?
I think the engine emission thing is running everything towards electricity on the engine side. So there's already existing electric excavators, but they are not very useful yet compared to diesel engine. And other thing is this like an anonymous working environment, more controlling from somewhere else, mapping the working site planning it like automatically, 3D systems. So I think, and the excavators itself starts to monitor themselves and giving you warning about wearing parts or things like that. So the smart technology is coming with those also. You can at the moment you can add by your cell phone, as you told. You can see all the details from your excavator by phone basically. And in near future, the phone will tell you that something is wrong or something is going to be wrong.
Yeah.
So I think the automation is running there also.
Yeah. So it's getting to be more like a car.
Yeah.
Same,
more and more.
Same things. What about in your?
And I also would think that making things as compact as possible, but still being strong, that's one of the things that will eventually be on the table. Size versus power.
Yeah.
That's one of the things.
Yeah.
Naturally, there are limitations thinking about the job that excavators do, but still heading that way.
Yeah, for sure. What about how can contractors ensure their competitiveness in the future?
I think the market itself will provide contractors the way to stay on the edge. How do you say it? So the factories the engineers are planning the machinery to take that challenge. And basically what contractors does is they are buying our product and they are having not only the excavator but the technology and all the other things with that.
Yeah.
I think our customer, they are pretty clever. They can do the math. For example, when we talk about electric driven like excavators, they can do the simple math. Do they want it now or not? Because the price is usually 2 to 3 times more at least. And they are facing the problem with, let's say, how long it can run, how many hours it can operate, where he can charge it. So they know, they will see what's available on the market and they make the good decisions. But for us, maybe people have this different understanding of electrification. Even the excavator is using battery. It still has hydraulic system. They never gone because hydraulic still provides much reliable power transmission compared to any other form. So attachment is still the key for the future for any excavator.
Yeah, for sure. And there is 2 big terms, electrification and digitalization of excavation. What do these mean? Do you have more information about these?
The electrification is easy to answer. The battery operated are already existing but not in commercial use yet. So the price tag is still so high and the operation time is, I think, maybe too low. But regulations are changing. They are doing it at the moment. The government is doing the thing. The cars at the moment, they are running it towards the electricity. The same thing is coming to excavators for sure, I think.
Yeah. Do you have any comment for this?
Most likely, well, the digitalization, there we go. That's one of the keys because everything has to be planned beforehand, and actually that provides the possibility. You already mentioned that everything is automized and the excavators might at some point be autonomous. So there's not an actual operator, but somebody handling from his computer or her computer the job site remotely. So that's most likely one of the ways that we will be seeing.
And it's already working on the other way. The people in the office are aware what the excavators are doing at the moment. So the information gathering is pretty high level at the moment already. So they are knowing which depth, where, how, and what excavators are doing, or the operator are doing. But they have the online data all the time, and I think it's a matter of time when the information going the other way, so they are giving the orders to the excavators.
Yeah. Sounds like a future.
It is.
Yeah. What about will the hydraulics in excavators be replaced? What do you think?
Not really quickly. I don't think
Yeah.
so. Hydraulics, it's just a great way of transferring power.
Yeah, I have a quotation that zeros and ones are replacing the hydraulic oil, but not soon. So basically the hydraulic controlling is so kind of easy to do all the things when you need a lot of force, a lot of power. So it's hard to replace by electric motors, for example.
From engineering view, like linear movement, hydraulic is still the best solution for any linear movement, especially when you need a big force. That's why if you look at airplane, all those huge manning machines, they always have to have the hydraulic. That's the most reliable solution. Yeah. So I don't see any problem with that. But I think there's more concern about how you combine the hydraulic with electric. That's maybe more the challenging for the designer of the future machines. Because as we know, like hydraulics means flow and pressure. And there is hydraulic motor providing those. But now hydraulic motor is driven by electric motor. That is the key part, how you can design a small enough electric motor which still power enough to drive that one. So that is more like the critical part.
Now I give you all one task. You can describe the most versatile excavator even from the very futuristic aspect, how it can be. Let's see.
So something that I can sit on my living room and monitor what it's doing on a worksite now. I think there's a lot of those features already mentioned. So small, strong, to do as much as you can, possibly can, and a lot of attachments. So you're able to do that. I think the customers are right. More is more. So you can do every job with the same excavator, and you have enough attachments on it. It'll be that small, strong, and every equipment available is my answer to that.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't have like really imagination about it because I have seen something similar, close to my imagination. We actually have one Korean customer, South Korean customer. He's an operator himself, so he's the business owner, he's operator himself. He has an excavator equipped with like several different attachments, like tier-tin type one. And if I remember correctly, he has a water pump, he has a compressor, he has this Leica's laser measuring system. So the excavator itself looks very beautiful. And I have seen his video doing all kinds of different jobs. So in my eyes, that's already a pretty much perfect one. Okay, I don't know about the fuel economy, noisy level in the cabinet, but just see from the functionality, it does almost everything. So that looks, to me, it's a perfect machine already. Of course, we wish we can see some smart function in the future, but that's not essential of the excavator, in my opinion. It needs to be done those manual job, and it's already happening with all those equipments. Yeah.
Why have just a spoon when you can have an actual Swiss Army knife?
Yeah, sure.
Kind of my view to it.
Yeah. What about the look, excavator's look? Is it going to change? As a woman, I must ask this.
I think the basic structure has been pretty same for 3 decades at least. You have a cabin, you have an engine room, you have the booms. Obviously, there is already existing. There's versions with a lot of different kind of swivels. You have more booms, and but that doesn't change the overall look.
Of course, yeah.
There's a pretty awesome. Certain customers like to have, for example, the excavators wrapped and tinted glasses and things like that. A lot of lights and things like that. That they are pretty rock and roll style.
Okay.
Some of them, obviously,
Cool.
because why not?
Yeah.
People are building their cars. They are building show trucks and things
Yeah.
like that. So why don't you build show excavator if you're
why not? Yeah.
if you can do
True.
it?
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's see, do we have any questions out there?
Yes, there's one question from Arto Turpeinen. He's asking, is there any difference between different excavator brands when it comes to installation?
I don't think, if we're talking about the main brands, like the biggest brands, the level of installation options is pretty same, I think, since everybody is facing the same problems and same challenges. The problems has been solved already, so everybody is providing the system to install whatever you need to. And the smaller brands might have some differences, but I think the main brands are pretty much on the same level, I think.
I would add a little bit. Like
Yeah.
if you're talking about attachment using the accessory lines on the boom, there's nothing almost. It's plug and play almost.
Yeah.
You just need to make sure the flow is right,
Yeah.
the pressure is right, compatibility, let's say. But then if it's come to slightly complicated installation, let's say, which need our installation valve, then there is actually differences. Because as we know, there is open center, closed center, different hydraulic system of the whole machine. And now because the machine getting more modern, certain machine would need a software update in
Yeah.
order to activate certain functions. So there is small differences, but usually the brand dealer would be able to tell you, or us we can also tell the differences to tell you like what is needed to make sure the installation is successful. So there is differences, depends on the installation still.
Yeah, that was a good point, that software thing.
Yeah.
So you need to activate certain things to make them operate. But I think the hardware, hydraulic lines and hydraulic pumps are pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
So it's basically the installation is available.
Yeah, available, let's say
Yeah.
this way.
Okay, I think that was all for today. Thanks for watching and see you in June. And please remember to like and comment. See you. Bye.